It is March. We're about 2 weeks away from March Madness. Like, it is creeping up on us. In a few days, Sunday, we're going to be a week away from Selection Sunday. Conference tournaments are starting up. I am so excited for this year's tournament because I feel like so many different teams can win it, but that's usually how it is every March, because it's pretty much the best tournament in all of sports, in my opinion. 64 teams in a tournament-style single-game elimination. You really can't beat that. And Bleacher Report just dropped their March 2023 NBA mock draft. It's a full 2-rounder. So we're going to be reacting to that today. If you guys enjoyed these reaction videos to mock drafts and the draft content, feel free to drop a thumbs up. I can't wait to release to you guys my bracket when that comes out. So this is by Jonathan Wasserman of Bleacher Report. With the number 1 pick, he has the Houston Rockets selecting Victor Wembanyama. Yep, duh. We say it every draft. He's going to go number 1. There is some injury concerns with Wemby. He's had his back issues. We'll see if his size is going to translate to the next level. It's crazy because he's going to struggle as a rookie. Like, he's gonna have to get built into his own frame, put on some weight, match up that physicality that there's other centers he's gonna be going up against in the NBA, like Joel Embiid, like Anthony Davis, and other big men like Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's gonna take some time for him to develop. He's not gonna be an MVP candidate right away. And I think you could probably play Wembanyama at the 4 because he can space it a little bit. You keep Şengün at the 5. You can run Jabari Smith at the 3, see how that works. Or honestly, if you've seen enough from Jabari, you look to trade him, you got Wemby. You would sacrifice 2 top 5 picks if you got Wemby, so like last year could just be a wash. But no, you'd want to keep Jabari Smith, you'd put him at the 3, you'd keep Jalen Green at the 2, and then you'd try to find, I think, a veteran point guard to really construct this offense. Maybe that's a guy like James Harden, maybe that's a guy like Fred VanVleet. Either way though, Wemby on the Rockets is a lot of fun. Next up, he has Scoot Henderson going to the San Antonio Spurs. I love this fit. It's one of my favorite here, and it's one of my favorite destinations for Scoot. Houston would be fun as well, but I think in San Antonio would be great because he'd play around guys that kind of complement his skill set. You got Jeremy Shohan, who's a hustle player, can kind of do a little bit of everything. You have Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, 2 good wings that can play defense and shoot the ball. Scoot Henderson would just run that offense, and I think if they could just land a good enough center that can run the pick and roll with him consistently, that's a really fun team. Hell, like trade for John Collins, throw him at the 5, and let's just see some Scoot Henderson Collins pick and roll action. At number 3, he has the Detroit Pistons selecting Amen Thompson. With everything going on with Brandon Miller, I wonder if that's going to affect his draft stock. Amen Thompson's an interesting fit in Detroit because he's somebody that it looks like needs the ball in his hands. He's an athletic player, does not have a great jump shot, but is a good enough playmaker. I'm intrigued on how he would play next to both Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham because we are positionalist basketball. He can play the 1, he could play the 2, hell, you could put him at the 3. I just don't know how he's going to work with Ivey and Cade out there. I've loved what I've seen from Ivey on the offensive end. His jump shot has improved over the season, and it's impressed me a lot. He definitely needs to work on his defense, though, and Cade's going to be coming back from injury. I wouldn't take Amen Thompson. I still think Brandon Miller is the 3rd best player in this class, but with all the things kind of looming around him, I wonder if he's still going to go in the top 3. It's looking like it's not going to really affect his draft stock. I love Amen Thompson. He's my 4th ranked player. I just don't know if I love the fit on Detroit. Okay, so he doesn't have Miller's draft stock being affected too much. He has Brandon Miller to the Charlotte Hornets at 4. I like this a lot for Charlotte. I also think Charlotte, desperately needs Wemby to save their franchise. I think Miller is the right pick here because you'd have Miller, you have LaMelo, you still have Rozier, you got Mark Williams, who's been one of the better rookies this season, or at least over the last few weeks. He's been a rebounding machine, and I think Charlotte found their long-term center. I also don't hate the idea of playing Brandon Miller up a little bit. I think he would need to definitely work on his physicality, but putting him at the 4 where he could shoot from 3 next to Mark Williams, I kind of love that front court paired up with LaMelo Ball. I actually kind of like that idea, yeah. So next up, we have the Orlando Magic selecting Jarace Walker. I'm not the biggest Jarace Walker fan in the top 5 at all. There's a lot of players that I would take in this position if I were the Orlando Magic. I'd even look at the other Thompson twin. I would look at a player from Arkansas that we'll get into, I'm sure, in a second, as you can kind of see a photo from him right there. I just don't know if Jarace Walker fits on the Orlando Magic because you have Franz, you have Banchero, you have Carter Jr. It's a crowded front court, and does Jarace Walker have a higher potential, at least right now, than Wendell Carter Jr. does? Yes. But do you really want to move Banchero to the 5? I think if anything, you're talking about moving Banchero to the 3. Actually, I don't know about that. Banchero has been one of the worst 3-point shooters in the 2023 so far. But hey, if you're going to have 2 lottery picks, I don't hate the idea of taking Jarace Walker, especially if you want a more veteran style player at the 2 that you can look for in free agency. All right, late lottery, he has the Indiana Pacers selecting Nick Smith. Pacers going up to 6. That's kind of crazy. They have been falling as of late. Interesting. You got Cam Whitmore. You have Asor Thompson, who could possibly be a pick here, but Nick Nick Smith, like, it's going to be a tough player to rank just because of the few amount of minutes he has played this season. It reminds me a lot of Darius Garland back in 2019 because he didn't play a whole lot for Vanderbilt. And I think we can look at that and be like, all right, these players can still be really good. If we know they have the talent, let's get them to NBA training. Let's get them to NBA coaching, play around NBA talented players, and they're going to be just fine. Nick Smith and Halbert in that backcourt is a lot of fun. Orlando getting Grady Dick, I kind of love. Just get more shooting, and I think Grady Dick's just going to be an elite shooter at the next level, and he's so young as well. Usually these polished shooters are juniors and seniors, so we already kind of know what their peak is going to be or what it's going to look like, and Grady Dick, I think, can improve so much, so I kind of love this for Orlando. I am shocked to see Asor Thompson kind of go at 9th in this mock. Washington, I don't love that at all. Washington needs a point guard. There's another player from Arkansas still on the board. I would love Nick Smith going to them. I think like there's a team that desperately needs to get lucky in this lottery. It's Washington. If they can end up getting a Scoot Henderson or a Man Thompson, probably not though, because they're going to be in the play-in tournament or just miss that, so their odds aren't going to be great to get into the top 3. Next up, we have Anthony Black going to the Pelicans. I don't really love this just because they have Alvarado, they have Dyson Daniels, they have Herb Jones, McCollum's still getting a lot of minutes, so they have a lot of guys in that backcourt, at least at that starting point guard position, or at that point guard position, I should say. And then they also have a lot of good defenders there. They can kind of look elsewhere. I think Cam Whitmore would be an interesting player. Keontae George has kind of fallen as of late. You could even get a little frisky and look at Taylor Hendricks. Center depth isn't a bad option either, but it might be a little bit high for Kyle Filipowski or Khalil Ware unless you fall in love with him. Speaking of Taylor Hendricks, he has him going to Portland at 11. I kind of love that pick. Hendricks is a beast at UCF, and he's somebody that could be a good 3-and-D guy at the 4, which is so valuable at the next level. I would love for Portland to end up with a center, though, and then Mike Hendricks next to that center, but they paid Nurkic, hated that contract when it happened. It's not going to age well. We'll see if Jeremy Grant leaves in free agency, because if he does, Hendricks can be a nice replacement long-term, but if you're going that route and you're letting Grant walk and bringing in Hendricks, just trade Dame. At 12, we have the Toronto Raptors selecting Keontae George. This is a weird fit. I think I would definitely take Cam Whitmore over George, and I think once you're getting into this part of the draft, you just take best player available. Position is just thrown out the window. It should be like that for most of the draft, but I kind of get the reasoning for like when I went back at Detroit. Do you really want to Ben Thompson when you have Ivy and Cade? Because not all 3 of those guys are most likely going to pan out playing next to each other, in my opinion. Keontae George has a lot of talent, but he has been struggling as of late for Baylor. Next up, we have the Lakers getting Cason Wallace. Hey, if the Pelicans end up not making the playoffs, this is huge for the Lakers, because if they don't make it as well, they're going to get a lottery pick. Cason Wallace can be a point guard long-term for them. I like him around this spot as well. I think he's probably, it's tough because like what is Black considered? What is Ben Thompson considered? What is Nick Smith considered? But if we're looking at kind of like true point guards, we'll say like Scoot's 1, we'll say a men's 2 if we're going to put him in there. I think Nick Smith's more of a 2, but we'll say he's 3 for guard there, and then we have Anthony Black at 4. Like Wallace is around that tier with some other players kind of, and the next guard position. I think at 13 it's good value for the Lakers. Oh man, I love this. Utah getting Jalen Hood-Schifino, man. I love this freshman out of Indiana. This dude is a beast. He's been playing so well for Indiana as of late in the Big Ten. I think he's going to kill it in their conference tournament. He's going to kill it in March Madness. A lot of people are going to know him. I think he's definitely going to be a lottery pick. He's high up on my draft board. I might even raise him. Speaking of players, I love Jet Howard. I think 15 might be incredible value for Utah. If they end up with Jalen Hood-Schifino and Jet Howard in this draft, it's an immediate A+ for me at the moment. Chris Murray to Golden State makes too much sense. He's somebody that can step right in and contribute, and we know that they want to win a championship next year as long as Steph Curry is there. Atlanta getting Bryce Sensabaugh is pretty good. You added Sadiq Bey. We'll see if they're going to pay him, but they might end up moving guys like John Collins and Bogdan Bogdanovic eventually. You got to give those minutes to someone. I think Bryce Sensabaugh could be an immediate impact player for them. I hate this pick for the Knicks at 18. Dariq Whitehead. I am not the biggest Dariq Whitehead fan. Now for the Knicks, it's interesting because whoever they take here, if they do keep this pick, but they tend to trade their first round picks, is probably not going to play a lot next year because the Knicks are like 9-man deep right now with a really good rotation. Like nobody from that starting 5 is leaving. I'm sure they want to bring back Josh Hart. Like Obi Toppin's minutes are probably just going to be replaced by a big man. They have Hartenstein coming back. They have Quickly coming back. So like Whitehead is not going to play right away, and they have veterans as well on that team. So if you want to take a project player, I am fine with that. And that is pretty much Whitehead at this moment. So I could get talked into it. I mean, speaking of project players, Houston at 19, Ryan Rupert, it's probably like, it makes sense. Like you're not good, you're developing, and you already got Wemby in this draft. You might as well go somebody that's an immediate project project player in Rupert, but how long do you want to keep developing project players, Houston? I don't know. Miami getting Brandon Podozemski. I believe he was also the co-conference player of their league, along with Gonzaga's Drew Timme. He's been really good as of late. Like, he's an insane rebounder for a point guard. Yeah, you can see he's averaging 8.8 rebounds per game at Santa Clara. He's not in the biggest conference in the NCAA. That's why he's not talked about a lot, but I've been seeing him rising up a lot of draft boards. Seems like a Heat type of player. Nets getting GG Jackson at 21. I think this is like a good chance, like a good spot to take a risk on GG Jackson, because he's a high risk, high reward player, but he definitely has a low floor. Portland with the Knicks pick from the Josh Hart trade are getting Kobe Buffkin out of Michigan. He can play make a little bit. He could shoot outside. He could score inside. I like the value for Portland. One of my favorite picks here is Jordan Hawkins to the Brooklyn Nets at 23. Him and Colby Jones are some of my favorite late round wings. We'll see like when Colby goes. Bilal Koulibaly, butchered the hell out of that name. Be honest, I don't know much about him. These Euro players, I don't really get much, like, I guess, knowledge on till after the NCAA season. So like once the season's done, I'm watching even more Wemby. I'm watching Ryan Rupert, and I'm sure I'll be watching Bilal. But yeah, going to the Kings here. If he can play defense, that's what they need. They don't need any offensive style players. Love Maxwell Lewis to the Pacers here at 25. He's somebody that I think should definitely go in the first round. He's got good size, and he's a good player creating his own shot. Julian Strawther to the Grizzlies here at 26. You know, he's somebody that's coming with experience at Gonzaga. He can be a nice off the ball player next to Ja. Rookie Council the fourth out of Arkansas going to the Jazz here, 27. This is the third Razorback going in the first round, joining Anthony Black and Nick Smith. I'm not the biggest fan of Council because he's not really a good shooter, and he's already a junior. Kyle Filipowski going to the Hornets at 28. I could be down for a Kyle Filipowski and a Brandon Miller combo in this draft. I think 28 is great value. I could see him going in the top 20. Another Duke player going in the first round. We got Derek Lively going to the Clippers. Yeah, they need some big man depth as well behind Ivica Zubac. And Terquavion Smith going to the Pacers here at 30. I think that's also good value. I think he can go closer, probably between 18 and 22. So yeah, I think that's a steal at 30. Where's my guy Colby Jones though? Is he going in the second round? Noah Clowney, he's a potential first round pick going to the Pacers there at 31. James Najee, don't know too much about him either. I just know he's a physical beast is what I've been hearing in just a couple of highlights. Be watching him once the NCAA season is over. Judah Mintz over Colby Jones. Wow. Marcus Sasser at 34. Tracy Jackson Davis. I love him out of Indiana. The only knock on him is he's a senior. He's a really fun college player to watch. There's Colby Jones to the Kings. I like him. His game doesn't scream upside is what Wasserman says, but there's some players he's ranked above him that I think have a much lower ceiling. Tristan Vukovic out of Paritsen. 2003 player, or he's born in 2003. That's just crazy, man. I'm born in 99, and like these players are 4 years younger than me. Leonard Miller, I've been hearing great things about him in the G League Ignite. Everybody pretty much in the G League, like Seti Cisco as well. I'm butchered his name. I know I kind of say it wrong every time. He's somebody that I think could rise up draft boards as well. G League Ignite has some talent outside of Scoot. You got Jaime Jaquez here. Khalil Ware to the Lakers at 40. That's some good value. I like Keontae Johnson because he's a kind of veteran player coming out of college, a senior at Kansas State. I believe he was also at Florida for a little bit. You got Jalen Pickett out of Penn State. This dude's a beast. He just hit a game winner. Or Jordan Walsh, the fourth Arkansas player going in this draft. I don't love Jordan Walsh as a player too much. Amani Bates is going 48th. We'll see how high he goes come draft time. Terrence Shannon in here. Azuolas Tubelis, I think, is good value at 51. Jalen Clark, Drew Peterson. There's Zach Edey going in this mock. Arthur Kaluma. Couple forfeited picks. And the last player is somebody out of Belmont. Shout out Dylan Windler. So if you guys enjoyed my reaction to this Bleacher Report mock draft, let me know what you guys think of it down below. Drop a like if you did enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.